Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Thursday. Good afternoon to anybody who's on the East Coast. Sorry, we're a minute late at this point. I was having some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Just admitting a couple of people who probably been sitting there. So give me one quick second. Okay. As I said, I think last week, I want to start getting going at the top of the hour and finish at the top of the hour. I will make time for questions if anybody has questions, if somebody has a particular client that they'd like to discuss a build on, or whatever else, please feel free to ask or put it in the chat. And I do try to keep an eye on the chat. But if I am not answering your question, please feel free to jump in, because sometimes if I'm doing multiple things at the same time, the chat gets a little bit left behind. So that being said, a couple things I wanted to review. I've been working very hard this week on trying to go through some of the previous trainings that we've done, and I'm working on a way to make those more accessible via the software. And in so doing this project, sorry, I'm trying to let people in doing this project, I have realized a couple of things that we haven't gone over in a while. So we're going to have a little bit of a review. So today we are probably going to be jumping around a bit to little bits and pieces and snippets of different trainings, because they're little tools that we haven't talked about in a while. So that being said, does anybody have any particular questions or tools that they've heard me talk about in the past that they would like to see again? Don't everybody jump in at once. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to pull up my Life Plan 360 software. Come on. Sorry, my computer is being very, very slow today. I apologize. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And I'm going, I'm sorry, guys. Not now. Okay. Just going to share my screen real quick. Okay, can everybody see the LP360 logo?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry, I've been having some technical difficulties this morning, so I just wanted to make sure. So in here, we're going to go to training. We're going to go to resources. And we are going to bring up the Money Wealth Life Insurance PDF. This is something that you guys can, great. Thanks for letting me know, Andrew. This is something that is in the back office inside the software that you can save to your desktop. You can, sorry, admitting people. You can attach it to an email, send it to a client. And I really don't think we talk about the contents of this book enough. This is something that I honestly keep on my desk like all the time. And I'm sure I've mentioned it many times before, but I'd really like to go through, and for anybody who hasn't read it, please read it. It'll take you like an hour, maybe two, if you're a slow reader or would like to really dive deep into some of these concepts. But Jake Thompson gives a really, really fabulous overview of how life insurance works, and the history of life insurance and practical uses of cash value life insurance. And a couple of things that I'd like to point out, because you should be able to just spit off the top of your head a couple of different anecdotes in real life of practical uses of life insurance. So if we go through this, let's see, the greatest, I know it's, give me 1 second. I haven't used the PDF in a while. Yep, I'm just going to find the page real quick. Oh, and I'm letting people in. Okay. Yes, as I've said before, I prefer paper pages. So it's page 6, actually. There we go. Okay, so has everybody heard of Disneyland? Anybody? Okay, I got one thumbs up. So thank you for participating. So, and specifically, we're talking about Disneyland in California. So in the awesome, thank you, Devin. In the 20s, Walt Disney and his brother Roy were considered to be animators. That's what they did. What did they know about running a theme park? And fast forward to the early 50s, Disneyland opened in 1955. They were trying to expand the Disney Corporation into creating Disneyland. They didn't have the money for it. They needed to go where? How were they going to get money to start a theme park?
The bank.
The bank. Thank you. So they got turned down by several different banks to start Disneyland, which we now know was the first tangible aspect of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. But they got turned down by several banks. So what did they need to do? They started self-financing. That's what this paragraph talks about. At the time, the only amusement parks in the country were run-down attractions. They were known to be shady and dirty and were hardly a place for families and children. And give me 1 second, I just need to admit some people. Believing it would be unsuccessful, potential financiers of Walt's venture rejected his request for financing. If Walt wanted to start his theme park, he'd have to find another way. Fortunately, Walt was a very savvy individual known for his success in business and finance and had been stockpiling cash into his life insurance policies. Since banks and lenders continued to reject his financing needs, he decided to provide his own financing. Among other things, Walt borrowed against his cash value life insurance policies, and in 1955, Disneyland opened its doors for the first time. Within 1 year, over 3.5 million people had visited the park. We could also say the same thing for McDonald's, that Ray Kroc borrowed from his cash value life insurance policies. Does anybody know what JCPenney is?
The store.
The store. During the Great Depression, JCPenney borrowed against his cash value life insurance policy to make payroll so that he didn't have to lay off hundreds and thousands of workers during the worst recession in American history. So Pampered Chef, I believe, is also, Pampered Chef is another example. Stanford University wouldn't exist without cash value life insurance. So just to keep in mind, like anybody who has not read this book, you're looking at your 1 second. Share screen 3. I don't know what happened. So now can everybody see the book?
Yes. What's the name of the book? I can't even see it.
Money, Wealth, Life Insurance by Jake Thompson. Again, my apologies for the technical difficulties. My computer seems to be doing weird things today. I'm sorry. So anyway, if anybody has not read this book, please, please, please read it. It's in the back office. Be familiar with it. Be able to pull out a couple of the examples that really resonate with you and or might resonate with your client to be able to just reiterate for them what you can do. Toward the back of the book, there are actual examples of illustration. So if I go to page 52. Yeah, so we actually have examples of this is what an illustration looks like for a 40-year-old male in good health, non-smoker. Keep in mind that these illustrations are a little bit older. They're not recent, and quite frankly, an illustration is old if it was done more than like 3 to 6 months ago. And we're not sure what carrier these are for, but the basic principle stays the same when thinking about cash value life insurance illustrations. You put in this amount of money, it's going to build cash value. You're going to end up with this type of death benefit. And for somebody who's not well versed in life insurance, such as a consumer, that might be a good introduction for how things work. So has anybody read the book and have a comment about it? Has anybody read the book?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'm getting a lot of no's. I haven't read the book. It is in the back office. Read it. It's a quick read, and it's really an amazing resource to be able to download and email to your clients anytime you're sitting down with somebody and be like, so, you know, when you get to that point of, so what do you guys know about life insurance? And people are going to say nothing or that it's expensive. Yes.
Sometimes I'll be talking with a client and I will ask them, because they're starting to give me some resistance about life insurance. And I'll ask them if they had ever heard of Disneyland or if they have ever heard of J.C. Penney. And of course, you know, if they've heard of them, I said, well, you might not have if it hadn't have been for cash value life insurance. And then I go to explain why. And then many times I'll hand them the book, say, I will loan you this book and I'll call you in a week and get my book back. But I want you to read it and get some ideas about what we're trying to accomplish here.
Thank you. That's actually a really great anecdote. That is the exact point that I was trying to get at. And if you are close enough to your client to actually give them a book, I would definitely recommend it, because I mean, as you can see me fumbling through the PDF, I'm still searching the actual tangible book for the page numbers. But if you are not in the room with your client, if you're not in the same state with your client, you know, definitely download the PDF, save it to your desktop and email it to them, because they can print it out at home and read it in their leisure. It's 61 pages. It's a very quick read, but it is very full of very useful information. It's written on a reading level that doesn't take a PhD to decipher. It's very, very legible and very relatable. So does anybody have any questions about that particular resource? Okay, so that being said, I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing for 1 second because I need to bring up my whiteboard so that we can draw an example. This is something that I have been a little remiss in sharing because I do it all the time. So I assumed that I had done it with you guys. And apparently I haven't done it since before June. So does anybody remember the zero line example? Okay, good. Then it's time we went over it again. So when we're getting to a point with a client that we're trying to illustrate a point, or they're balking on paying off a debt, and just admitting people real quick, they're balking on paying off a debt, or they don't know why you would, or guys, if you have background noise, please be mindful. Yeah, so we're gonna go with the zero line example. If I have a pen, that would be great. Zero line example. So this is our zero line. So in this example, we are going to illustrate why we would borrow from ourselves versus borrowing from a commercial bank. So the example I usually use is buying a car. So this is going to require some class participation. So please feel free to jump in. So is it better to slowly dig yourself a hole, a financial hole, or to dig yourself one hole of equal size all at once and slowly fill it back in? Which one's better? Anybody?
Second one.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Not a problem. Is it better to slowly dig ourselves a financial hole, or is it better to dig ourselves a hole of equal size all at once and slowly fill it back in?
I would think it would be better to dig together both holes at once.
So have some from column A, some from column B.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Why?
is that possible though? I don't even know if that's possible. It's
That
something that-
actually is possible.
Is possible?
That is what we call a down payment finance.
Oh, okay.
So like when you go to buy a car, they want to know, how much money you're going to put down and how much your trade-in is worth, right?
Yes.
So that is taking money out of your bank wherever you have cash, and that is digging the bigger hole all at once. But then the rest of the car has value and you're going to finance, right? You're going to finance that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that is actually column A and column B. But if you had to pick one, which one's better?
B.
This side over here?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not going to comment on that right now. We're going to play that out and see how it goes.
Okay.
So we are going to buy a car, right? And I am a financial consultant, not an artist, guys. So please bear with me. This is my terrible drawing of a car that looks more like a sombrero. Anyway, so when we buy a new car, what do we spend on it?
You said, what do we spend on a new car?
Yep. How much would it cost you?
Let's say 20,000.
$20,000.
Mm-hmm.
20K. And we're going to finance this for 5 years.
Okay.
How much does it cost us? What is the monthly payment?
The monthly payment would be $400.
$400? Okay, great. So we are going to pay to the bank $400 per month for a 5-year loan.
Yes.
Okay. So at the end of it, this is going to be, I'm just going to erase for a second because we can't see what our hole looks like. Okay, so we now have a $20,000 hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So on this side, we are also going to buy a $20,000 car. And we're also going to, so we're starting with a $20,000 hole.
Mm-hmm.
But on this side, we are going to pay ourselves $400 a month, right?
Yes.
So what is our $20,000 car worth after 5 years?
On side B. Let me see. Let's see. 1 second. It's going to be worth 24,000.
It'll be worth more after 5 years?
Let me do it again. Hold on. It's 400 a month times 12. That's 4,800 a year times 5. Come to 24,000.
That's what we spent on the car, right? You've just done the math on what you spent on it.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we've actually spent $24,000 on this car. So we actually have a $24,000 hole for a $20,000 car. But what is the car worth as an asset? What is it worth?
It depreciates.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so
That is
much.
actually bang on. Our $20,000 car, 5 years in, will be worth $8,000
Mm,
because in the first 5 years, you lose about 60% of the car's value.
wow.
So please feel free to write that down because it's a good statistic to know. You lose approximately 60% of a vehicle's value in the first 5 years. So on this side, we have a $24,000 hole, and actually we're not even going to call it a $24,000 hole. We're going to say that we still have a $20,000 hole because the purpose of this exercise is that somebody is going to tell us, oh, but I have a 0% loan. Great. We're going to say that we have a 0% loan on both sides. All things being equal, and yes, right now used cars are going for sky high prices. They actually offered me more for my car that I bought 8 years ago than I spent on it in the first place a couple months ago. So that's how high prices are right now. Anywho, back to this example. So we have a 0% loan on both sides. We have a $20,000 hole over here. And on this side, we started with a $20,000 hole that we're taking our $400 a month to slowly fill back up. So now we have to figure out what the difference is between these two holes. And thank you for figuring out $24,000 because that is going to be important in just a minute. So what is our differential here? So we have a $20,000 hole. So we have minus $20,000 and we have an $8,000 asset, right?
Mhm.
So what is our net position on this side?
On the left side,
On the left, yep.
the net is 0. If I'm-
Minus 20 plus 8.
minus 20 plus 8. So 8.
Negative
What did we do?
$12,000 because we have an $8,000 asset
Okay.
and it cost us $20,000,
Okay.
right? Because we financed it. So let's take a look at it on the right side. So how big is our hole? Do we have a hole?
So our hole would probably be big, 12,000 maybe, because we gained 8. I don't know.
So initially we
It was-
dug ourselves a $20,000 hole, right?
Mhm.
But we took $400 a month every month for the last 5 years and put it back in that hole. So aren't we back at 0?
Hmm.
Haven't we filled up our hole back to the 0 line?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're at the 0 line and we still have an $8,000 car, right?
Yes.
So we're going to go with plus $8,000. So are we at a positive $8,000 net position at the end of 5 years?
Yes.
And that is saying all things being equal, and we have a 0% loan. So Cece, we said the with interest, it's a $400 car payment for 5 years, and that's gonna cost us what, 24,000 you said?
Yes. 24,000.
Okay, so we're gonna fix this math. So $24,000 minus $24,000 plus $8,000 is minus $16,000, right?
Mhm. Yes.
So if our payment is the same, we're paying ourselves back as much as the bank would charge us. We had a $20,000 hole plus $24,000 is we're at a $4,000 positive position, right?
Yes.
So $4,000 plus $8,000 is $12,000.
That's good.
So at a net zero, yeah, at a 0% interest, our differential is $20,000, which was the original cost of the car.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're looking at it from a real life position with an actual interest rate, what is our differential here?
The differential will be the 12,000.
So we have to say 12 plus 16,
It's 28.
our $28,000 difference. And in 5 years, we could buy another new car for that. Because this $20,000 is money that we're never going to see again, and we're buying a depreciating asset.
Mm.
Whereas doing it this way, we are borrowing from ourselves, paying ourselves back, and we still have the asset.
Mm-hmm.
So isn't it a much more powerful tool to pay ourselves?
Definitely.
So what if I told you that this side was costing us 2% interest, which is very low, and this side was gaining us, let's say 1% interest on money that we've already spent?
That's good.
So now isn't there even a bigger differential
Yes.
between them?
Yes.
So by using cash value life insurance to do this, as we talked about, like Walt Disney did, like Ray Kroc did to build McDonald's, like Pampered Chef did, money that we've already spent on something is still earning us 1%. So what other bank could you go to that you're going to say, I'm actually going to spend $50,000 that I have in this bank, and you're still going to pay me 1% interest on that $50,000 that is not in your bank right now?
None. You can't go
Nobody, right?
nowhere. Nope.
Nobody. So that is the real heart of the benefit of creating a family bank for your family, is being able to do this over and over and over again, whether you are going on vacation, whether you are buying a car, whether you are fixing the roof, all of things that happen in life. Now I want you to think about this. What if we were using this example to buy an investment property? Now we've got a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to say that this house has 4 units. And each one of these units, which I'm assuming that there's not a market in the country that can't support this, we're going to say that each of these units is making us $1,000 a month.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we have our zero line. We borrowed $400,000 from ourselves, and our, I'm completely making these numbers up, but let's say that the operating costs just for upkeep and all of that cost us $1,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to, can anybody tell me what a mortgage would be on a $400,000 property? I'm going to just take out my phone and put in Carl's mortgage calculator with a K. So I don't know if you can see that, but Carl's mortgage calculator. And I'd show it to you on my screen, but the app works much better on a phone. So a $400,000 property, enter, with no down payment. We're going to say no down payment. And interest is going to be 6.5% because it is an investment property. $2,500 a month. 2,500 a month, right? That we're putting back into our bank. So minus 2,500 per month, 3,500 per month. And aren't we charging $4,000 in rent?
Yes.
So every month we're making $500, and this $400,000 is still making a 1% positive arbitrage over time, and we're going to pay ourselves back and be able to do this again and again and again.
Mhm.
And I don't know where everybody is in the country, but can anybody here honestly tell me that they could get a 1-bedroom apartment for less than $1,000 a month where they live?
No.
Anybody? No, no. Yeah, I'm getting a bunch of no's. Exactly. So more likely, I know around here, a 1-bedroom apartment is going for anywhere from $1,600 to $2,400 a month, depending on what it has. So point being that this is a very lowballed example in terms of income. But do you see the point that I'm getting at of how lucrative this could be if you could self-finance something like real estate?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's say that you even lived in one of these apartments. So now you're not spending money on rent, but you're not making income on that. Well, you still kind of are paying money on rent because you're paying yourself back, but it's not money out the window.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that something that we could see ourselves either doing for ourselves or helping our clients to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless on stuff like this. Yeah, around here, 1-bedroom apartments start at $2,500 a month. That's because you're in New York, but I definitely feel your pain. But yes, so that is a tool that you have to help your clients see the possibilities, to be able to see why building their own bank and divorcing the commercial banks is to their best interest.
Mhm.
It really is. Whether they're into real estate, crypto, whatever, they can borrow from themselves to create a profit. Personally, I would not highly recommend borrowing from yourself to invest in something volatile, but that is my personal stand on risk, but that is neither here nor there. Another thing I wanted to mention today, and if anybody has any questions, please feel free to jump in, because I'm really just going to be like jumping from topic to topic today. So if somebody has something that they want to ask or talk about, jump in. So I know that I say qualified money a lot. Does anybody know what that means?
Does it mean the money's already taxed?
Actually, no. Qualified money is the exact opposite of that. So, pen. Everybody can still see my whiteboard?
Yes.
Okay, good. Qualified money. 401k. 403B IRA. What do all of these have in common?
Defer taxes.
They've all been deferred taxes. These are, and I think 457s as well.
Mhm.
457 is I believe, a pension plan. Anyway, so all of these have deferred taxes, meaning that before you get your paycheck, I will get to that in 1 second. So let's say you make $100,000 a year. Okay, this is your paycheck, and you are contributing 4% of your salary annually to your 401k, which is $4,000 a month, which $4,000 a year, 4,000 divided by 12. So we'll just call it $350 a month. $350 per month. And what are you actually making per month? $100,000 divided by 12. So you're making $8,300 a month. $8,350 per month. And this goes into 401k. So when you get a paycheck, your boss is writing you a check for $8,000 a month. And then you pay tax on this. This amount right here goes into your 401k, not taxed. Why?
Because it's qualified.
Because it's qualified. So it goes into your 401k. It does not get taxed. It grows in a tax deferred way. When does it get taxed?
When you take it out.
When you take it out. Right. So you're only putting in $350 a month. Let's say over the next 40 years that grows to be $250,000. But over 40 years, what have you actually put in 40 years? So $350 per month times 12 times 40. You've put in $168,000 over 40 years, but you're going to end up paying tax on 250. Which would you have rather been taxed on?
The 168?
The 168. And really, it's only $350 a month.
Yeah.
So, which is $4,200 a year, which does anybody know where 401k and 403b get their names from?
They're part of the Internal Revenue Code.
Ding, 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 10 points to Gryffindor. So yes, those are line codes in the IRC, which is the Internal Revenue Code, which is basically a tax code. So the 401k and the 403b are tax codes. So most of us think of these items as actually being a vehicle that we're saving for retirement with. How many people thought that before I said it right now? Or how many people have heard me say it before and they didn't know that before that?
Yes.
Bunch of people, right? So most people think of these as being a noun. And I know we've talked in the past about the grammar of retirement funding, but these are the way I want you to think of these as being adjective. Ugh, what did I just do? Adjective. Okay. These are adjectives. So mutual funds. Savings account. CDs. life insurance policy. My handwriting is terrible. Sorry, I'm writing with my finger. All of these are nouns. So I want you to think back to like 3rd grade when we learned about grammar of English. So can an adjective stand alone?
No,
Yes?
No,
No.
it's known as a hanging modifier.
Okay.
Can a noun stand by itself?
Yes.
yes,
Yes. So a noun can stand by itself. A mutual fund is, well, a noun is a person, place, or thing. A mutual fund is a thing. It's a tangible thing. A savings account is a tangible thing. A CD is a tangible thing. A life insurance policy is a tangible thing. They all have documents associated with them, right? So our 401k can't stand alone, right? Because it's an adjective. So it has to have a noun to go with it, right?
Right.
So when you're talking to your clients, you need to be aware of this because they're not aware of this. They have absolutely no idea that when you ask them, so that IRA, where is it? What do you mean it's an IRA? You're going to hear that a lot. Okay, is it in a mutual fund? Oh, annuities. Annuities are another one. Is it in an annuity? Is it in a savings account? Is it in a mutual fund? Where is that 401k? Where is that IRA? So a 401k is almost always going to be in a mutual fund, because it becomes, as soon as it goes almost anywhere else, it becomes a rollover IRA. But people get very, very confused about IRAs or 401ks that they've left with a previous employer because they don't know anything about them. So we're putting money into what we're referring to as a 401k. Really, we're putting money into a mutual fund that has a tax qualification status of it has never been taxed. It will grow tax deferred. And then when we pull money out, it will be taxed. Does anybody here know who Ted Benna is? Anybody? Okay, so I'm getting a couple of no's. This is something that I do talk about, and I'm going to share a different screen. So hold on one second. And we are going to go to okay, can everybody see my software at this point?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just gonna pull up log me out. 1 second. Okay. I'm just gonna go into a dummy client that I have. Who's a dummy client? Client. Okay. So do I have this one set up? I don't have that one set up. Okay, we'll go to this one. Next. Next. Okay. So Ted Benna, and it's in the software for when you guys are explaining this to clients. Ted Benna is actually the creator of the 401k, and he created the 401k in 1978. Does anybody know what the tax bracket was in 1978?
No.
Anybody? Okay. Federal tax bracket 1978. So the lowest tax bracket was 27%. So the for a married couple. So if you were making an average salary at that point, let's say, actually, let's look at what the average salary was. 1978. Don't take my word for it. The median income of households in the US rose to $15,000 in 1978. So awesome. $15,000 would have put people in the 39% tax bracket. Anybody know what the highest tax bracket is right now? Anybody? Okay. The highest tax bracket right now, I believe, is 37%. So the average family was paying higher federal tax in 1978 than the wealthiest families are now. I'm going to say that again. In 1978, the average family was paying more in federal tax than the wealthiest families are today. So what was the 401k created to do? Anybody?
I guess to make the wealthy rich. I don't know.
The 401k was created as a tax shelter
For the wealthy?
for everybody.
Oh.
Because if the average family,
Please, right behind, right over there by.
guys, mind your background noise. So the average family, remember, is making $15,000, right?
Mhm.
Which puts them in a 39% tax bracket. So if they can drop their tax bracket to even 36%, it's not that much money. Let's say they're going to save 10% of their salary into a 401k. That's 3% that they're not paying the feds. And theoretically, that account will grow and taxes will go down, which they did, right?
Mhm.
In 1978, utilizing the 401k tax deferral strategy was an intelligent move, right?
Yes.
But in 2022, we are in the lowest tax brackets in the history of the IRS.
Mm.
And the federal government just borrowed $10 trillion. Where are federal taxes going?
Oh,
So that's $1 trillion.
To the Ukraine.
Wow. Who said
Up. Thank you, Tim. Taxes are going up. So why would we put money away that is going to be taxed at a higher rate in the future? And not only is it going to be taxed at a higher rate in the future, but the value of that money will go up. Why would we do that? Because it's what we're told to do.
Yeah, being ignorant, yes.
Yes, it is status quo. It is what everyone else does, so we do it too. So I'm going to go back to my whiteboard. So can anybody tell me what mutual funds do? What other concerns would we have with a mutual fund? Anybody? Where is a mutual fund? Let's start with that.
Could be in stocks, could be in bonds, could be in.
It's somewhere in the market, right?
Correct.
So if it's in the market, is it guaranteed?
No.
So it's subject to risk, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So are we guaranteed to have that $250,000 in 40 years when we retire?
No.
No.
Could it go down?
Yes.
Yes.
I want
Could
you
go up,
guys
too.
to think about this for a second. How does it make you feel when you turn on the news in the morning? How many people have stopped turning on the news in the morning?
I don't even look at the news.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't we look at the news?
Depressing.
It's
Depression.
depressing. It's all bad news. It gives us stress. we're going to have a heart attack looking at what the NASDAQ is doing, right? You know, see, all the top mutual funds all invest in the same stocks. Exactly. So when they tell you to diversify with your money, thank you, Tim, for reminding me of that. When they tell you to diversify with your money, how are you diversifying with your money if it's all in the stock market? Isn't it all still in the same place?
Wow, it's deception.
Yeah, so just because you've got these stocks and bonds and equities and more stocks, and you've differentiated between investing in somebody's real estate portfolio, and you've got some Apple stock and you've got some startups, and isn't it all still subject to risk?
Yes.
So why can anybody answer this question for me? Why does nobody have a guaranteed platform to build their financial house on? Anybody?
Because they put their investments into a qualified account.
Why?
It's what we were taught to do and told to do.
Exactly. Exactly. All of us have been taught since birth that, you know, the end all be all in a job is having a 401k and a dental plan. Anybody else heard that?
Yes.
Yeah. Because there is strength in numbers. You know, how many people here took a class in college about investment banking? Anybody?
No.
Okay. So if you haven't taken a course in investment banking, how many people took a finance class in college? Anybody?
Nope.
Nobody? I didn't either, to be quite honest with you. So if none of us have even taken a finance course, never mind an investment banking course, how are we supposed to build a reasonable retirement strategy using a 401k, which is basically an investment account, by ourselves? How are we supposed to do that?
They're not.
But yet, all of us get a job at 23 and we open a 401k and we will put money into that 401k diligently, like our life depends on it, and not take vacations and not buy a new car. We're going to keep patching the fuel intake valve until we just literally can't patch it anymore, because we're all brainwashed to think this is the only way.
So the advantage though in a 401k is that employer contributions can be matched.
Okay, I'm really glad you brought that up.
And one other thing is that with the 401k, it again is under the IRS rules, and it is for companies. It is not for individuals. You can't get a 401k unless you have a business.
But you can get an IRA.
You can get an IRA, but we don't want to confuse our language here.
True. And a 401k is employer sponsored. Individuals can have an IRA, which is why when you leave a company, depending on how much money you have in that account, your company will continue to manage it or not. And if they tell you that you need to move that 401k on, if you have enough money in it, you can roll it over into a traditional IRA, also known as a self-directed IRA. And that is an option. However, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, employer contributions. So I'm gonna move this over there, and we're gonna go back, new whiteboard.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the employee's contribution, I just thought, are they paying taxes too on that money they contribute to the employee at the end?
The employer?
Yeah, that was just,
No.
I just thought about that.
No,
It's just the employee that will pay.
it's just the employee that will pay. So we're gonna say that you have $100,000 salary,
Mhm.
and your employer will match 50% of the employee contribution up to 4%.
Kendra,
Yes.
can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
The young lady that asked about the employer's contribution. The employer's contribution is a tax deduction to the employer
Wow.
because he's
Yeah, I was getting to
divesting
that.
money to the employee.
So they get it, so they get
So
a
they get a break.
Yeah, because they can deduct your salary and any of your benefits. So if they are contributing toward your health insurance, your 401k, some employers have employer sponsored life insurance programs. These are all tax deductions for the employer. So getting back to this point, so all of those things are tax deductible to the employer, but any of the money that is in your 401k is taxable to the employee when they go to take it out. So 4%, 1 second. I want to be mindful of time because I only have like 3 minutes left. 4%, 50% match. So we're making $100,000. We are contributing 4%. That's $4,000. The employer is contributing is matching 50% of that. So that's $2,000, right? So the total amount that is annually going into our 401k is $6,000, right? Can anybody tell me what the stock market's doing right now?
Taking.
Anybody know how much?
A lot.
A lot. So somebody told me that it went down like 30% in a week or something like that. So if you're losing a third of this minus, let me bring up my calculator because I can do the math in my head, but it's more powerful if you guys see it. So $6,000, right? Times 0.33 is 1980 minus 1980. That's what you're left with in your account right there. Can somebody tell me what happened to the match?
It was-
Anybody?
Disappeared.
It disappeared.
Yeah. Wow.
And in today's economy, I am hearing from more and more clients that their employers are increasingly reducing the match because they can't afford it.
Wow.
So, and honestly, this scenario is a pretty good match right now. That actually is pretty good. But are you on? And I mean, yes, this number is higher. This number here is higher than your actual contribution. But are you willing to put your clients in a situation where they are sacrificing their peace of mind and their options, their flexibility and their guarantees for $20 a year? Are you willing to do that for yourself?
No.
So why do we do this? Because it's what we're told.
Yes.
It's what we're taught to do. So that is why cash value life insurance, indexed annuities, guaranteed products. When I say guaranteed, I mean guaranteed to grow, guaranteed to never lose money. These are the basis for a solid financial future. This is what gives people financial peace of mind. And it's the top of the hour, so I really want to be mindful of people's time. but we can draw a direct line from financial stress to death. And it does not matter if you are white, black, Asian, purple, middle class, wealthy, less than middle class. It does not matter what demographics you fit into. Financial stress is the leading cause of death in America, because financial stress increases your risk of cancer. It leads directly to heart disease and several other, diabetes. People who are overweight often have people who have financial stress are more likely to be overweight. All of these things lead to physical diseases that lead to death. And it all comes back to financial stress. It's also the leading cause of divorce. Yes, it is. 88% of divorces are due to financial stress. But okay, so we're actually 2 past, and I really want to be mindful of everybody's time. Did anybody have any last minute questions before we adjourn today?
No,
Was this helpful for people?
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna put my email in the chat. So that's me. Feel free to email me with questions, comments, concerns, anything that you need help with, or any topics of discussion that you would like to see for future trainings. With that, I say have a great weekend, and I will see you all next week.
You too. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.